Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive into some threat intel.
Yeah, we've got a whole stack of reports here.
Oh yeah, where are we going today?
Let's see, we've got the Register Security Week,
Oh nice.
Malware Bytes, Bleeping Computer,
Okay, solid sources so far.
Proofpoint, Kaspersky, Cisco Talos,
Wow, okay.
all sorts of goodies.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so we're going to go deep on these and pull out the juicy threat intel, right? No mitigations or anything?
Nope, this is purely about awareness. What are the threats that are out there right now?
Perfect. I love it. Okay, let's jump in. I'm seeing something here about the Black Basta ransomware gang.
Oh, yeah.
Their internal chats got leaked.
Right.
That's got to be rare, right?
Incredibly rare. It gives us a really unique look into how these gangs operate.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so what happened? Why did they leak?
Well, apparently there was some serious internal conflict going on. Someone named Tramp was scamming victims.
Oh, wow.
He was collecting ransoms but not giving them the decryption keys.
So even in the cybercrime world, trust is hard to come by.
It seems so. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these leaked tats. What kind of stuff are we talking?
Well, the details are pretty wild. They were demanding tens of millions of dollars in ransoms.
Oh, wow.
They were charging $1 million just for a year's access to their malware loader.
$1 million?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Anything else?
And get this, one of their affiliates was only 17 years old.
17.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That's disturbing, man. Bringing kids into that world.
It really is. And they even talked about their rivals, the Lockbit ransomware gang.
Cybercrime rivalries, huh?
Apparently so.
Okay, so we talked about Conti last time, right? Any connection there?
Yeah, actually, these Black Basta leaks are really similar to what happened with Conti back in 2022.
Oh, really?
Both had these big internal blowups that led to leaks, and two key figures in Black Basta, Bio and Tramp,
Right.
they used to work together at Conti.
Interesting.
So we're kind of seeing history repeat itself.
Yeah, you'd think they'd learn.
You would think.
Okay, well, let's move on from ransomware for a bit. Let's talk nation-state actors. What about this Salt Typhoon group?
Ah, yes, Salt Typhoon, they're a Chinese group that's been targeting U.S. telecom companies
Telecoms. Really?
for years. Some of their attacks have lasted over 3 years.
3 years. Geez, they're patient.
They're incredibly patient and persistent. It's all about long-term espionage.
Okay, so how do they do it? What are their tactics?
They're all about stealth. They rely heavily on stolen credentials.
Oh, so not a lot of zero-day exploits then.
Not really. They prefer to avoid that kind of risk.
Interesting. Okay, so they get in with stolen credentials, then what?
Then they slowly and methodically expand their access. They extract more credentials, intercept authentication traffic.
Sneaky.
Very sneaky. They're like a digital Trojan horse.
Okay, and once they're in, what are they doing?
They start mapping out the network. They exfiltrate device configurations.
To plant their next move?
Exactly. They've also been seen enabling guest shell access on devices.
Oh, really?
Altering access control lists, creating hidden accounts.
So basically embedding themselves deep within the network.
Yeah, they want to be there for the long haul.
And they've got custom malware too, right?
They do. It's called Jumbled Path.
Okay, what's so special about Jumble Path?
Well, it allows them to capture network traffic.
So eavesdropping on communication.
Essentially, yeah. But they're also very good at covering your tracks.
How so?
Jumble Path helps them obfuscate their location. They disable logging
Oh, smart.
and clear logs to erase any trace of their activity.
So even if you've got solid security measures in place, these guys could be lurking in the shadows.
They could. And that's the scary part. They're incredibly stealthy and persistent.
It's a reminder that we can never truly let our guard down.
Never. We need to be constantly vigilant and proactive.
Okay, so let's switch gears again. Let's talk vulnerabilities and exploits. Microsoft recently patched a critical vulnerability.
Oh, yeah, CVE 2025-24989.
Right, in their Power Pages platform,
It was being actively exploited.
which is never a good sign.
Definitely not. And what's concerning is that Microsoft hasn't shared many details about how it was being exploited.
That makes it tough for security teams to assess their risk.
Right. How can you protect yourself if you don't know how they're getting in?
Good point. Okay, so what do we know about this vulnerability?
Well, it allowed for privilege escalation
Oh, so attackers could potentially bypass user registration controls.
and gain unauthorized access to sensitive systems.
Not good.
Not good at all. It highlights the fact that even with regular patching, there's always a window of vulnerability.
Between what a flaw is discovered and what a fix is deployed.
Exactly.
Okay, and I'm seeing something here about the NVIDIA CUDA toolkit.
Ah, yes. CVE 2024-53870.
This one was also being actively exploited.
It was.
So even widely used software components can have serious security flaws.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that we're seeing a trend towards more targeted attacks these days.
More targeted.
Yeah, less mass-spreading malware and more focused campaigns aimed at specific victims.
So the attackers are getting more selective.
They are choosing their targets carefully and customizing their techniques.
Okay, any examples of that?
Kaspersky has been tracking a group called Angry Lico.
Angry Lico.
Yeah, they're specifically targeting Russian organizations.
Okay, so what makes them so special?
Well, they use spear phishing emails with malicious attachments,
Classic.
but they blend known tools like the Loomis stealer,
Which can grab passwords, cookies, crypto wallets.
all sorts of goodies,
Yeah, nasty.
with their own custom delivery mechanisms.
So it's a mix of old and new techniques.
Exactly, and they're very deliberate in how they operate.
What do you mean?
They launch attacks in bursts, then they pause their activity for a
They'll have to
while.
throw people off their scent.
Exactly, then they resume with slightly modified techniques.
It's like they're constantly adapting to stay ahead of defenses.
It's a cat and mouse game, for sure.
Okay, well, let's move on to another sector that's always under fire, healthcare.
Ah, yes, healthcare. They often struggle to keep up with the evolving threat landscape.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the data breaches and security incidents being reported by Malwarebytes.
It's alarming. The Change healthcare breach last year impacted 190 million people.
190 million. That's insane.
It is. And then there's the case of DM Clinical Research.
Okay, what happened there?
They exposed a database with over 1.6 million patient records.
Oof, that's a lot of sensitive data.
It is names, birth dates, phone numbers, email addresses,
Wow.
vaccination statuses, medications, even detailed health conditions.
That's incredibly valuable to cybercriminals.
It is. They can use it for identity theft, insurance fraud, blackmail.
It's scary how vulnerable healthcare organizations can be.
It really is. And it's not just about data breaches.
Right.
HealthNet Federal Services got in some legal trouble.
HNFS?
Yeah, they allegedly failed to implement adequate cybersecurity measures.
What happened?
They were responsible for handling health benefits for military service members and their families,
Okay.
but they neglected to implement the security controls required by their contract.
Oh, wow.
They ended up paying over $11 million to settle the allegations.
Ouch.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity failures can have serious financial and reputational consequences.
Yeah, especially when sensitive information is involved.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about something a little more futuristic now. Large language models.
LLMs?
Yeah, like ChatGPT.
Right.
What's the threat there?
Well, Palo Alto Network's Unit 42 research team has been investigating something called LLM jailbreaking.
Jailbreaking.
Yeah, basically they're looking at how to bypass the guardrails built into these AI systems.
The guardrails designed to prevent them from generating harmful content or leaking sensitive information.
Exactly.
Okay, so how are they doing that?
They're using clever prompt engineering techniques.
Like finding loopholes in the AI's programming.
Exactly.
Okay, and what are they trying to achieve with this jailbreaking?
Well, some researchers are focused on AI safety violations.
Like getting the LLMs to generate harmful content.
Instructions for self-harm, malware code, hate speech.
Oh, wow.
Others are more interested in extracting sensitive information.
Like system prompts, training data, personal information.
Right.
So a jailbroken LLM could become a tool for spreading harmful content or leaking confidential data.
That's the concern.
And we're seeing these AI systems integrated into more and more applications every day.
It's happening fast.
That's a chilling thought.
It is, and what makes it even more concerning is that Unit 42 found that all 17 GenAI web products they tested,
All of them.
all of them were vulnerable to jailbreaking in some way.
Every single one. That's pretty alarming.
It is. We need to start taking these risks seriously.
Absolutely. As AI becomes more prevalent, we need to understand these vulnerabilities.
And develop strategies to mitigate them.
Okay, well, let's talk about a more familiar threat. Account takeovers.
Ah, yes, ATOs.
They're a constant problem.
They are. And Proofpoint's research paints a pretty grim picture.
Oh, what are they saying?
In 2024, 99% of the customer tenants they monitored were targeted by ATO attempts.
99%. So basically every...
Pretty much. And 62% experienced at least one successful account takeover.
Even with multi-factor authentication in place.
Even with MFA.
So MFA isn't foolproof.
It's a strong deterrent, but attackers are constantly evolving their techniques to bypass it.
How are they doing that?
They're getting more sophisticated with their phishing attacks.
Okay.
Their social engineering tactics are becoming more persuasive.
Right.
And they're even finding ways to exploit vulnerabilities in MFA implementations themselves.
So it's an arms race.
It is, and it highlights the importance of a comprehensive approach to security.
What do you mean by that?
We need to combine robust technical defenses with security awareness training for users.
Okay.
Because account takeovers are often the first step in much larger attacks.
Right. If they can get into one account, they can often pivot to others.
Exactly. So preventing ATOs is crucial.
Absolutely. Like fortifying the castle walls and training the guards to be vigilant.
Well said.
But even with the best defenses in place, we have to acknowledge that attackers will always be probing for weaknesses.
That's the reality of cybersecurity.
It's a never-ending game of cat and mouse.
It is, and that's why threat intelligence is so crucial.
Because we need to understand the enemy's tactics.
Exactly. We need to know how they operate so we can anticipate their moves and develop effective countermeasures.
It's like having a spy network, constantly gathering intel on the enemy,
A good analogy.
so we can stay one step ahead.
That's the goal.
Okay, I'm getting the picture. Threat intelligence, continuous learning, a multi-layered security approach.
Those are the key takeaways.
But with all these threats swirling around, it can feel a bit overwhelming sometimes.
I understand it's a lot to take in, but the key is to focus on what you can control.
You can't prevent every attack.
No, but you can make it much harder for the attackers to succeed.
So it's about managing risk.
Exactly. Reducing our attack surface and making ourselves a less attractive target.
Make it so costly and difficult that they move on to easier targets.
Precisely.
Okay, so it's about knowing your enemy, knowing yourself, and choosing your battles wisely.
Well said.
Speaking of knowing our enemy, let's circle back to those LLMs.
Oh, right, LLMs.
They're not all doom and gloom, are they?
No, definitely not. They have incredible potential for good.
Like what?
They can automate tasks, generate creative content, provide personalized learning experiences.
The possibilities are vast.
They are.
But like any powerful tool, they can be used for both good and bad purposes.
That's true. It all comes down to how they're developed, deployed, and used.
So how do we ensure they're used for good?
We need to consider the ethical implications of AI
Right.
and make sure these systems are designed with safety, security, and transparency in mind.
So building in guardrails from the ground up.
Exactly, and making sure those guardrails are robust and can't be easily bypassed.
And educating users about the potential risks.
Absolutely. Responsible use is key.
Okay, so it's about approaching AI development and deployment with a sense of responsibility.
And a commitment to ethical principles.
We need to anticipate potential risks and develop strategies to mitigate them.
Before these systems are widely deployed.
Okay, so we've talked about ransomware, nation-state actors, AI, account takeovers. It's a lot to digest.
It is. The cyber threat landscape is constantly shifting.
New threats emerging, old ones evolving.
We need to be proactive, adaptable, and informed to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for, to help you stay informed and ahead of the game.
That's right. We'll keep digging into the latest threat intel and bringing it to you.
So stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of cybersecurity.
And stay safe out there.
Always good advice.
You bet. And that means using all the tools at our disposal, threat intelligence platforms, security blogs, industry conferences.
Right, Artsin too?
Yeah, definitely open source intelligence is invaluable monitoring hacker forums and dark web marketplaces.
It's all about being proactive, doing your research, connecting with the broader security community.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in cybersecurity.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. Threat intelligence, continuous learning, a multi-layered approach.
Those are the pillars of good cybersecurity.
But even with all that, it can still feel kind of overwhelming sometimes, right?
Yeah, I get that. The cyber threat landscape can be a chaotic and unpredictable place.
So many threats, so many attack vectors.
It's important to remember that you can't control everything.
You can't prevent every attack.
No, you can't. But you can make it much harder for attackers to succeed.
Okay, so what can we do?
Focus on what you can control.
Like what?
Manage your risk, reduce your attack surface, make yourself a less attractive target.
So if they're going to go through all that trouble to attack you, make it so costly and difficult that they move on to easier targets?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about knowing your enemy, knowing yourself, and choosing your battles wisely?
Well said.
Okay, so we talked about LLMs earlier, the large language models.
Right.
It sounded pretty scary, but they're not all bad, are they?
No, definitely not. LLMs have incredible potential for good.
How so?
They can automate tasks, generate creative content, provide personalized learning experiences.
Oh, interesting.
The possibilities are truly vast.
But like any powerful tool, it depends how it's used, right?
Precisely. It all comes down to how these tools are developed, deployed, and used.
So how do we make sure they're used for good?
We need to consider the ethical implications of AI
Okay,
and ensure that these systems are designed with safety, security, and transparency in mind.
so build in those guardrails right from the start.
Exactly. Make sure they're robust and can't be easily bypassed.
And of course, educate users about the potential risks.
Responsible use is crucial.
Okay, so it's all about approaching AI development and deployment with a sense of responsibility.
And a commitment to ethical principles.
We need to anticipate potential risks and develop strategies to mitigate them.
Before these systems are widely deployed.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
Good.
So we've covered a lot of ground today: ransomware, nation-state actors, AI account takeovers.
It's a lot to take in.
The cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving.
New threats are always emerging and old ones are evolving.
It's a never-ending cycle.
It is. which is why we need to be proactive, adaptable, and informed.
To stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
It's like a game of chess against an unpredictable opponent.
A good analogy.
You need to think several moves ahead and be ready to adjust your strategy.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've talked about the need for threat intelligence, continuous learning, and a multi-layered security approach.
Right.
But what about those threats we haven't even anticipated yet?
Ah, yes, the unknown
The
unknowns.
stuff that keeps you up at night.
Exactly. The cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving.
So there will always be new challenges on the horizon.
There will.
What can we do to prepare for those?
The key is to be proactive, anticipate potential threats, and be prepared to adapt to new tactics.
Easier said than done.
It is. But that's where threat intelligence and creative thinking come in.
Right?
We need to challenge our assumptions about how attackers operate.
Think outside the box.
Exactly.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Precisely.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Collaboration and information sharing are more important than ever.
By working together, we can pool our knowledge, share our insights, and develop better defenses.
Against both known and unknown threats.
Exactly. It's about building a collective defense.
Like a global immune system for the digital world.
That's a great way to put it. We need to develop collective immunity
Where we're all working together to identify and neutralize threats.
before they can spread and cause widespread damage.
Okay, so what can we do as individuals to contribute to this global immune system?
Well, first and foremost, educate yourself.
Faye?
Stay informed about the latest threats, vulnerabilities, and security best practices.
There are so many resources available online.
There are security blogs, podcasts, industry conferences, training courses.
So never stop learning.
Never. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Challenge assumptions.
Yes,
Think critically about security issues.
precisely.
It's like being a curious student, always eager to learn more and explore new ideas.
Exactly.
And the power of community is huge, right? It is connect with other security professionals,
Right.
share your knowledge, learn from their experiences.
It's like building a network of allies, people we can trust and rely on.
Exactly. And when we work together, we're much stronger than when we're operating in isolation.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little more empowered now. It's not just about being afraid of the threats.
No.
It's about taking action, educating ourselves, and working together.
Exactly. To build a more secure digital world.
Awesome.
That's the spirit.
So we've talked about ransomware, nation-state actors, AI account takeovers.
Right.
What about supply chain attacks?
Ah, yes. Supply chain attacks. They're a growing concern.
They seem to be getting more common.
They are, and they're particularly insidious because they exploit trust relationships.
Between organizations?
Exactly. Attackers target a vendor or supplier that has access to multiple downstream customers.
Right.
And by compromising that single entity, they can potentially gain access to a vast network of victims.
It's like poisoning the well at the source.
Exactly. You're not just attacking one target. You're potentially infecting an entire ecosystem.
And these attacks are getting more sophisticated too, right?
Absolutely. Attackers are using stealthy techniques.
Like what?
Compromising software updates, planting backdoors in hardware components,
Wow.
even infiltrating open source software repositories.
So basically nowhere is safe.
It's getting harder and harder to trust anyone.
So how do we protect ourselves?
Trust is still crucial, but it's not about blind trust.
Okay.
It's about informed trust. We need to carefully vet our suppliers.
Due diligence.
Exactly. Verify their security practices and establish clear communication channels.
For sharing threat intelligence and incident response plans.
Right.
So it's like doing your homework, making sure your partners are taking security serious.
And having a plan in place in case something goes wrong.
Right, because something will always go wrong.
It's inevitable.
Okay, so informed trust, communication, and having a plan.
Those are key.
What else can we do?
We need to reduce our dependence on single points of failure.
What do you mean?
If we're relying on a single vendor for a critical service, we're putting all our eggs in one basket.
So diversify our supply chain.
Exactly. Have backup options. Avoid putting all our trust in one entity.
Spread the risk. Make it harder for attackers to cripple our operations.
Precisely. It's about building resilience and redundancy.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be realistic. Implementing all these security measures can be expensive
It can be.
and time-consuming.
It can be.
How do we convince organizations to prioritize security when they're already stretched thin
That's the challenge, isn't it?
and facing budget constraints?
It's a common problem.
Security is often seen as a cost center, not a revenue generator.
We need to change that perception.
How?
We need to start framing cybersecurity as a business enabler.
Not just a cost center.
Exactly. By investing in security, we're protecting our assets, our reputation, and our customers' trust, right? We're mitigating risk and ensuring business continuity.
So it's about making the business case for security.
Precisely show how it can reduce risk, improve compliance, and enhance customer confidence.
Okay, I'm with you on that. But we also need to highlight the potential consequences of inaction. A
Absolutely.
cyber attack can cripple an organization.
It can lead to financial losses, reputational damage, even legal liabilities.
It's about helping organizations understand that security is not just about compliance or checking boxes,
It's about protecting the organization's core values.
and ensuring its long-term success.
Precisely.
In today's digital world, security is no longer optional.
It's essential for survival.
Right. I'm starting to see the light. Strong security isn't just about compliance or checking boxes.
No.
It's about protecting what matters most to the organization.
And ensuring its future, it's about understanding that cybersecurity is an investment, not just an expense.
Right, because the cost of a data breach or a cyber attack can be catastrophic.
It can be far outweighing the cost of prevention.
It's like that old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
By investing in security, organizations are protecting their assets, their reputation, their customers' trust.
They're mitigating risk and ensuring business continuity.
Precisely.
So it's about making the business case for security, showing how it can reduce risk, improve compliance, enhance customer confidence.
And we need to highlight the potential consequences of inaction.
Right, a cyber attack can cripple an organization.
It can lead to financial losses, reputational damage, even legal liabilities.
So it's not just about compliance or checking boxes.
It's not.
It's about protecting the organization's core values and ensuring its long-term success.
Exactly. And in today's digital world, it's no longer optional.
It's essential for survival.
It is.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light. Strong security isn't just about compliance or checking boxes.
No.
It's about protecting what matters most to the organization.
And ensuring its future.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have ransomware, nation-state actors, AI, account takeovers, supply chain attacks.
A lot to take in.
It is. But the key takeaway is that the threat landscape is constantly evolving.
So we need to be proactive, adaptable, and informed.
To stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for, to help you stay informed and ahead of the game.
We'll keep digging into the latest threat intel and bringing it to you.
So stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of cybersecurity.
And stay safe out there.
Always good advice. Well, that's it for this deep dive, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay vigilant, stay curious, and stay connected. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity.